It really did.
Alrighty. So you've had her for 6 months. Deaf. Is she still on the medication or no?
No, we only got it prescribed for like right before the fireworks for 4th of July.
For sure.
Because she was staying with
My mom.
family that was watching her, and I go, she's been fine, but just in case someone's setting those mortars off and she can feel it.
Yeah.
Because she's in the past couple weeks started to feel people walk up the stairs in our condo, and when the door shuts, she honestly, up until like 2 or 3 weeks ago, really hadn't been reacting to that. So I know when he's home now, when he's getting home now, because the hackles are raised and she's like ready to go. And so she wasn't doing any of that before.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Because typically it takes dogs 2 weeks to a month to settle. And you've not moved in the time that you've got her? So she's been at the same place for 6 months?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's generally something I would expect to happen much earlier on. So, okay.
And we've tried, like, he plays guitar, and so I was like, just go, like, turn it up, see if, like, she can, like, feel it shake or anything, and she hadn't, so, yeah.
Interesting. What kind of guitar you play?
Tellys and Les Pauls, mostly.
Okay. I play guitar too.
Nice.
So,
Nice,
yeah.
Nice.
I have a PRS, and then my treat to myself a few years ago was a Music Man, Omar Rodriguez custom or whatever. Not custom, but like his signature model.
Those are great. I love Music Man guitars. I got one of those too.
Yeah.
I don't play it much as like the Telly and the Les Paul, but that thing is awesome.
Yeah, I went from like 1 guitar to like 8 now. So
It goes quick for sure, man.
When I brought it home, I remember my now wife, she was my girlfriend at the time. She's like, you could buy a wedding ring with the amount of money you spent on this guitar. I'm like, oh, yeah, I could have, but it's also like, 3 months, 3 years, 0% interest. I'm like, why not?
It's free. Girl math.
Buy me the ring like that, and then I'll go and buy it.
Yeah.
Okay, and then obviously you guys were looking around, like you said earlier, and then leash reactivity?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
So honestly, when you're like at Oz Park, I was like, all right, here we go. We're doing it. And we left our building. And so we go right on to Chicago Avenue. So it's a busier street, and Saturdays people are walking by, and she immediately like started barking at people and dogs. She doesn't, it's mostly like the movement kind of thing. Bikes are a no-go, scooters are a no-go. And so she was reactive on that. But then walking in here a little bit, like, want to check it out first. So,
for sure.
but definitely like a nervous-y kind of thing.
For because I just noticed you have the dual leash. Has she ever escaped before? Is it?
No, we've been using the harness mostly, so for like control and then not. And then since it's been warmer, been switching to just the collar.
Okay.
The slip lead is mostly
I generally just do the slip lead.
Okay.
Because she just tends to pull if she's just on her harness, either in the front or the back.
Yeah.
But like the slip lead, at least you can kind of like pull up and correct in some way.
Yeah.
And yeah, we had a trainer prior to coming here, but it was all just like kind of positive reinforcement, treat for seeing a trigger and then looking at us, treat for every, and it was just like, it was sort of reaching the end of its effectiveness there. Hi, Ripley. So we needed something.
And we couldn't take her on very long walks, so the triggers increased, the treats increased, the walks got shorter, and so we're like, all right, we have to be ready for this.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, how old is she?
4.
4. Okay.
That's what they tell us at least.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, sweetie.
And it sounds like you did a bunch of research because you mentioned watching my videos earlier, but I'm assuming you know the tools that I use, right? E-collar, prong collar.
Yeah. I think the thing with, I like seen like the behavior one for like reactivity, and whether it's now or later, it was just more of like for the obedience side of things. She gets hand signals sort of in the, like for the most part in the house.
Yeah.
Obviously outside when she's on a leash, like her threshold, she's up pretty quick now, so it goes out the window. So yeah, I was just interested at some point learning more about e-collar for the obedience side of things, but.
Yeah. So I'll fill you guys all in on that stuff.
Great.
So with the behavior cases and all that stuff, like you with the e-collar tool, you get up to off-leash obedience, even with the deaf dog. Okay. I've trained a handful of deaf dogs throughout the years, and that's super common. But e-collar works great for them because they can't hear anything.
Yeah.
But they can feel stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, you can use hand signals, but dogs actually, any dog, deaf or not, they interpret the collar according to what life looks like at the moment. So this means if your dog's 30 feet away, if you press the button, she looks at you and she goes, in this kind of context, when you're 30 feet away, the collar almost always means to come back. So even without words, like my dogs, if I press the button, you will see them run back to me.
To you, yeah.
Okay. If we're walking on a leash and she happens to stray and I press the button, she looks at the context and goes, oh, in this context, it most likely means to walk with you, right? We train our dogs to automatically sit whenever we come to a stop. So if you come to a stop and she's standing and you press the collar, she's like, oh, in this moment, I'm supposed to be doing this, right? So, and this is all without words, whether they're deaf or not, okay? Because with the way that I train, we use the tool to shape the behavior. So have you ever pulled up and then pressed down on her butt to make her sit?
Yes.
Okay, so that would be called pressure. Up on the leash, down on the butt. You're using leash pressure and hand pressure, right? The moment she gives you the sitting position, what do?
Relax.
Relax. You let go of the pressure.
Yeah.
That is communication. So for her, she's like, I feel this pressure, but when I do this in response, it disappears. E-collar is pressure. It's just delivered in a different way, okay? So pressure turns on. As soon as she gives me the behavior I'm looking for, pressure turns off. And eventually we condition that behavior, and then the dog gets understands it well enough that if I just press the button alone, they're gonna give me what I'm looking for, okay? So that's why in my book, e-collar 1 is the best training tool, because it gives you on and off leash control. If I'm working with a dog that's deaf, not a problem. I've also worked with blind dogs. I've also worked with deaf and blind dogs, okay? And the collar has worked great. The only difference is with the blind dogs is what I've noticed is they tend to have a higher level. In my opinion, it's because they can't see. So the what's the word? The threat sense, because they can't see, kind of goes up. So we're now having to use more pressure to get them to override that the fact that they can't see the danger or not, right?
Yeah.
But that's pretty much the only difference, really. Okay. With deaf dogs, I've not noticed that just because they can still see things, they just cannot hear. Okay. When it comes to, I think in your email you had mentioned something about addressing the behavior and then maybe in the future off leash, right?
Yeah, I think that just with her being deaf, like not being able to like call for her and have her come back, that was more of like the, you know, the part of it. And she goes to play with in my parents' yard in the suburbs and stuff with their 4 beagles, and like totally fine. We're visually we can get her back.
And totally not reactive to people, like isn't resource guarding or anything like that when she's off leash there. It's really just like taking her out of our house to like go for a walk where she just like gets completely wigged out.
Now,
so eventually, that would be a good thing, but I'm like, one thing at a time.
So it's actually faster than you would think in terms of progress. The only thing that would slow us down is how severe her reactivity is. Okay. Whenever I'm dealing with a pit or pit mix, I usually expect more difficulty because pits were bred for fighting, right? So their tolerance for pain and discomfort is much higher. E-collar itself isn't painful,
right?
Okay, but it is uncomfortable. So all this means is I anticipate whenever I'm working with a power breed is a higher number, okay? They've also, a reactive pitty or pit mix is different than a reactive German Shepherd.
Sure.
Okay, in terms of intensity and stuff like that.
Yeah.
As long as the client's willing to do the exercises and work through it, we make progress. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just in some cases, I get one dog's class 1 to class 2, 180. It's like they're a born again dog or whatever, you know. And in other cases, like we're on class 5 and then we finally get it done. Okay. Every case is different.
Totally.
It just means it might take a little bit longer, right? But it's not like we have 5 classes and then they're all just working on reactivity. First class, if we're doing in person, is always going to be covering heel. Okay, leash walking, leash pulling, leash reactivity. 2 most common things I deal with as a dog trainer. Okay, so first class is heel. We're going to address both those problems. Heel is super important, one, because if a dog's having reactivity issues, there's usually overstimulation. Issues, frustration because the dog is pulling all over the place, and all these things end up adding up to reactivity. Once we teach them how to focus and walk with the handler, a lot of the times, 70 to 80% of problems go away. Okay, so whatever's left over is what I know we need to work on, right? So class 1, I work with the client, teach them all the foundation stuff. give them the homework, tell them rinse and repeat 3 times a day, each day of the week, and then I'll see you in a week and you give me feedback. They come back the following week, oh, Jesse, my dog's 50% better, 80% better, 0% better, whatever it is, right? Whatever they tell me tells me what I need to do next, right? And then we work on heel part 2, and then we make some tweaks on their collar, they go off and they rinse and repeat, right? And then the third class, if they're still struggling with reactivity, is we're gonna focus on reactivity today, okay? Because I wanna see what does the first class or 2 address, okay? We focus on the reactivity, and then I tell them, go and work on this, okay? Once you understand how behavior works, it's not really beneficial to just do class over class over class trying to address it, unless it's like super bad, okay? Most of the time what happens is I give them the homework for the reactivity, and I'll tell them, take 2 weeks to practice this, okay? And then email me about a week, 7 to 10 days in to give me feedback, right? They email me, they're like, hey Jesse, we're making progress, but we feel like we can make more progress. I'll send them an email, you're gonna make these adjustments, do it again for another week, right? In some cases it works, I see them the following week after that. Other cases are like, not quite there yet. I send them another email, try this instead, okay? Once they've exhausted everything, right? Then I go, now let me come in and see what's going on, because it would really just be wasting classes because it's the same information, okay? Once we get that done, then we just continue with the obedience stuff, okay? So this is what allows us to make kind of more of a straight shot to off-leash stuff, because technically the methods that I use are off-leash methods. It's just a matter of, are you gonna go through, are you gonna take the time to practice everything, and are you gonna go through all the steps, okay? But when we teach heel on class 1, it's the same foundation that I would use for any other dog, regardless if they're gonna be off-leash or not. So once we get to the off-leash stage, we just transfer,
right
is all
in.
it is.
Okay.
So it's a bit different where it's not like, well, you have to do this class, which only covers this, and then once you're done with this class, and then we do, and then by class I mean program, and then it's like, oh, then we do a separate program to like do this, right? It's pretty much just straightforward, okay? The biggest variable is just the behavior, okay? This here, like the anxiety, right? So what I'm gonna have you do is you're gonna pull her away from you, you're gonna pull up, and you're gonna press down on her hindquarters. Just like that, and then you're gonna relax, okay? Anytime she jumps on you, you're just gonna remove her, and you're gonna repeat that same process. So she jumped up, up here, and then down on the hindquarters. She's starting to get bored, she's starting to get frustrated, okay? So then she starts to jump on you seeking comfort. And I saw you kind of go to touch, right? Pull forward, and then go to pull up and then push down. That actually reinforces the anxiety. Okay, so touch, pull away, and then up and then push down. It's a reinforcer. Whenever, for example, if we say sit and the dog sits, if they could hear, right? We would praise them. Because we want them to do that again the next time they hear the word sit. So when a dog becomes anxious, nervous, fearful, stressed, reactive, right? Human a lot of times is doing it to console. I understand that as a human. However, the dog interprets it as I should feel the way I feel.
Yeah,
right now.
that was valid, and I should,
So when we're using positive reinforcement for reactivity, right? Theoretically, depending on what time you're offering the reward, you could be rewarding the reactivity, right? Even if she looks at you, let's say she goes into arousal state and you manage to get her attention and you reward her, you're still rewarding arousal state. Make sense? So, and then pull forward, and then, forward in front of you, like this. There you go, pull, 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 and then relax right there, perfect. So for me, if a client wanted to use food with reactivity, first we address the reactivity, to the point where the dog doesn't want to be reactive. So then they say she sees a dog, right? She's completely neutral, and then is relaxed, the dog passes, and then I offer the reward, I'm rewarding the neutrality. And technically it's a good decision because the dog decided not to do anything, right? But if the dog has become reactive and then you offer the reward or you try to distract them, technically because it's being offered during reactivity, it's rewarding that behavior. If the dog's in arousal state, technically speaking, you're rewarding arousal state. Okay? So I'm not against food. It's just, I want to make sure that if we're using food, we're using it at the appropriate times. And then forward, pull in front of you, and then up, and you're doing good. This is normal. We're doing it at the right time. Okay.
That was our
100%.
The first
what
question was when we were like,
our other
"How do we
trainer was having us
know?"
do.
Yeah, well, we were like, how do we know we're not being like, good job barking at that dog? Like, you know, so.
So I had a dog that I trained named Gertie. She came to me at 6 years old, severely reactive. They worked with multiple trainers, all positive reinforcement, and then they're like, it's not working, right? They ended up finding me a month and a half to 2 months prior to having to fly to Spain. They're relocating. They were going to have their dog fly in the cargo area, right? So we're having the consultation, and I explained what I explained to you,
Yeah.
and they looked at each other. They're like, we kind of felt that's like what we were doing, like we were rewarding the reactivity, right? They go, it's no big deal, like here we are, right? And I told them, I was like, chances are we can get this dog to the point where she can be your service dog, and then you can fly with your dog as a service dog on the plane and not in the cargo area, okay? Because I could see they were very serious about it. I mean, they spent 6 years and a lot of money, clearly, right?
Yeah.
So they did a 2-week board and train, completed the program, they did all the follow-ups, they flew to Spain, no problem. Got the reactivity done, no problem,
Yeah.
okay? And I started getting to blog writing again, and I put one up on my website like just this past week about her specifically, where they were using nothing but positive reinforcement, and they felt like the behavior was just getting worse. And then we do e-collar, and they had a great foundation, which is what helped us a lot. Okay, yep, you're doing good.
Can I get a few
Yeah.
of those in?
Yes, please.
And you're doing all this is normal because, yep, pull away, in up in the collar, down the hindquarters. There you go, and then relax. No one's ever, from what I've seen so far, right, made her settle. And that's essentially up in your leash and then down on the butt. And then relax, perfect, right? So right now, even if she could hear, right, we're not telling her sit. What do you think we're telling her?
No.
Not no.
Down.
Chill out.
Chill out. Relax. Now, if you look at how she's sitting the goofy sit.
Yeah.
The relaxed sit. That's the first time she's done that right now. Because her brain is so used to doing something,
Yeah.
and we're countering it, and we're going, you're not going to do anything right now, right? Eventually, you counter, the dog goes, okay, well, you're not letting me do this. What can I do? Relax, exactly. And then eventually she may lay down, and then she'll probably lay down for 2 to 3 minutes, and then she's going to get up again because she's used to doing something, right? And then we would repeat the process. Eventually, she would lay down and then fall asleep for like 10 to 15 minutes because you've done it over and over. But because this is the first time she's been confronted, it's also causing anxiety because she wants to do something, right? All this stuff is normal. The more rules and structure you put on them, the more you start to see these things just kind of go away, okay?
Yeah.
Usually with reactivity, it's just dogs being overwhelmed, right? There's so many things in the world. Scents, people, dogs, birds, squirrels, cars, trains, like all this stuff, right? That all these options are what cause the overstimulation. Overstimulation, to a degree, puts the dog under stress.
Yep.
And then when you add in another stressor, like another dog, right? Then we get reactivity, okay?
Yeah.
So this is why I promote a lot of calmness. Like right now, weekends are typically slower. I think we have like 20 dogs today. They're all behind that wall right there, right? But you're like, I didn't even know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, the structure, when I saw it was like the structured daycare, I was like, the communication and the structure were very much what like drew me, because we're like, yeah, she's never been told no, because we're like, how do we tell her no without like, we'll try and do hands, but she's like, oh, they're gonna beat me. Like she cowers, she has peed, and we're like, wait, and so we're like, oh,
She definitely has some fear of me. Way less so of her. She's her favorite.
Okay. So like what motion would make her potty or stress beat?
The one time he like had like a flashlight that you were like doing something with.
Got like a flashlight. I just like turned it on. This is like, oh, let's see what she does, and just like went like this, and she just like cowered and like scurried away.
And then other times it's more of like if big actions, mostly if he does it, like she will get the tiniest and then like a little piddle of like just a tiny little bit and stuff. So, and we've never ever done that kind of thing. So.
And relax. Good. So it's possible that she's just. Do we know her background at all?
She was surrendered to CACC because the owners were moving, I guess, and then she got picked up from there by Border Tails in Northbrook, and that's where I found her. But they didn't know anything about her because she had just been in the kennel for like 2 or 3 months, and like
we know her original name.
Yeah.
Both
And,
originally.
Diamond.
Diamond. She was Diamond, then she was Dia, and then now Ripley. So
Not that it matters
not
to
that it
her.
matters to
Yeah,
her,
yeah,
but you know.
I know, right? Yeah. So
So that's all we know.
it's most likely that she's just a very soft, timid dog. And that's probably also the source of the reactivity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like reactivity is not a problem. It's the symptom of a problem.
No, she's
You know?
definitely, you could just tell him like, oh, you are terrified. Like,
Yeah.
and that's what like the first, like I tried taking her, we live right between Smith Park and Humboldt. I tried to take her over to Smith Park, like when it was nice enough out where she would tolerate being on the cold. And people are like, that dog does not look like she wants to be on a walk. And I go, we are 5 blocks from our house. Like that is, and she just would stop and doesn't want to go anywhere. And I was like, okay, she is like, at that point wasn't reactive, like lunging and barking at people.
Yeah.
She was just stubborn and like not moving, like you're like frozen kind
How
of
long
thing.
to the 6 months before you started to see the reactivity?
It was more or less immediately.
Okay.
But like on leash, right? Because she was mostly inside for the first few weeks or whatever.
Yep.
But like I took her on her first walk, got her like in a snowsuit and all this. So it's like, hey, you can go out. She was so skinny. She was freezing out there. And just like someone turned a corner on us and she just like went at him. And I was just like, whoa, didn't think you had that in you. Interesting.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, some like mom and her kid wanted to stop and like pet her, and I was like, she was acting like super weird. I like wouldn't recommend it. And we were just like staying there talking, and she was sitting, and then she like went. It was like, let's not pet this dog right now.
Yeah.
Like she is in this here.
Yeah, a lot of like,
Up on your leash, down on the butt. Yep.
a lot of what when we go on walks and stuff, people are like, oh, she's so, and so like even if they're not petting her and we're talking to her like this, like there's like a tattoo shop by us, so they'll be like, oh, she's so cool and blah blah blah, and we're like, yep, and she'll be fine.
We're up front and then up on the leash, down the butt. There you go.
And she'll be fine talking, and then something switches where she's like, I should be worried about this, and then goes, and that's been a newer thing where she'd be like fine, and then we move it on, but long enough where she'll be like, even people she's met, like my best friend, she like went back for seconds kind of thing, and I was like, that's a first. And that's really when I started looking. We tried booking with the other trainer, and then since then took her to the vet to try and get her nails clipped. They were like, that's not happening today. And I was like, okay. And she snapped at the vet, and they then told me that they had put a muzzle, they have a note in there, and I was like, I would have helped you guys out a lot more and done a lot more shit before we got here. But I, didn't know that. And so they were like, oh, she's protecting her owner. So there is, I think, a little more resource guarding of me maybe, but I think some of, like, she's still reactive when he takes her alone and stuff, so.
No, I gotcha. So I would say some nervousness in there too. So like right now I'm seeing a couple things because she's got the tail tuck now, right? Tail tuck is most likely because you're not allowing her to do what she wants to do. Okay, so that's okay. She's got to work through it. Some anxiety with the panting.
Yeah.
Okay. What you said about like, she'll be fine with this conversation now, and then eventually it goes too long, and then she becomes reactive, as is typical of a nervous dog. Okay, so we have fear, nervousness, anxiety. They can look from similar in the sense that they're not confident behaviors, right? Fearful dogs will become reactive, and like they won't let it go until the threat is gone. So like if you got a fearful dog and you put them in a separate room, like they'll continue barking until the person leaves the house. Okay, because the threat is still there. They might lunge at you, but then if you move in, you'll see them back away, and they won't want to move in again unless you back away, and then they'll move in. So that's a fearful dog. Anxious dogs tend not to settle, like they want to move. So her anxiety right now isn't through the roof. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably put it at a 3 to 4, because as you had her, you saw how she sat still for about 5 minutes, and then she got up, and then you sat her again, and then 30 seconds later she got up again. That's the anxiety. Okay, that whining. Also the anxiety, right? Earlier when she tried to come over to you, also anxiety, okay?
Oh, I get it, baby dear.
Nervousness is the dog will settle, right? When it gets comfortable. But then if there's a sudden movement, someone suddenly talks too loud, right? Claps, they trigger. Right? So people get fooled. They're like, oh, like it looked like they were getting along just fine. And all of a sudden, like you saying, oh, my friend came back for seconds, right?
Or she went back to like try and get her again in like an aggressive like way. And I was like, oh, you've never, normally it's a one and done. And that one, she was very, yeah.
Yes.
Good
So
name.
that's what I would call it, good, a nervous dog.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are all things that are normal to feel, right? As a human, at some point we feel anxiety, at some point we feel fear, right? All that stuff. Same thing with dogs. However, there are some dogs that are just more inclined to exhibit
Sure.
these behaviors, you know? Same thing for humans. The most common one that I see now, and I've been working with people for 16 years, right, is anxiety, right? Where I have clients that take medication for it and stuff like that, right? I just notice a lot more people being anxious now than when I was working with people 15 years ago, right? As a dog trainer. With dogs, same thing. It's normal to become scared, but there's some dogs that get scared like of a flashlight. You know what I mean? So their susceptibility of like going into that behavior tends to be more than like a more stable dog.
Yeah.
Okay. So like my pit Lexi, she's like a super solid dog, but I can always tell when there's going to be a storm coming 2 days before, because she starts to get a little anxious and she acts a little weird.
Yeah.
Right. So she's my little weather girl. But aside from that, she's
Hire
not an
her.
anxious dog.
Get her hired.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I know, okay, storms make you anxious. Fireworks also make you anxious. You know. So yeah, but all these things are stress responses, and they keep the dog at a baseline stress level. So then when you add a stressor, they just kind of go to the next step there. Does that all make sense?
Yeah.
Yep.
So structure is a big part of this, because it helps keep stress levels lower. Also, pressing the dog in terms of exposing them to stressors to teach them how to work through stressors. Okay, and this is why e-collar is such a great tool, because e-collar is a stressor. Okay, because it's physical.
Yeah.
Okay, it's discomfort. Not uncommon to see a dog become anxious, nervous, or fearful in response to the collar. The collar is not making them that way. The dog is already that way, but because we're putting them under controlled stress, it looks like it's happening more frequently. Does that make sense? So, because that always gets people, they're like, oh, but I thought they were going to help. I'm like, we are going to help the behavior, but we have to expose the dog to stress, work them through stress, and eventually they develop their confidence, and now they're no longer stressed or as stressed.
Yeah.
So, like, once they learn how to deal with the collar, so think of the on the leash, when she sees a dog, that's a stressor, right? It's an emotional stressor. She becomes reactive. Once you start working the dog with the e-collar, we expose the stress, we work through stress. Theoretically, she's like, oh, I see a dog, that kind of stresses me out, but I've had worse. So now the tolerance is better, because the dog's like, oh, that doesn't even bother me anymore.
Yeah.
Right? So for me, I didn't start with a building. I started by myself, home to home. I did all my bookings, my consultation bookings, appointments, billing. I did everything by myself. Then I hired an employee, and that came with a stress, because I have to do payroll every 2 weeks, right? Then I graduated to a brick and mortar, and then I had a number of employees, right? Then I had a mortgage, not mortgage, a rent, electricity bill, a water bill, right? And then COVID happened. So my tolerance for stress with the business is very good,
Yeah.
because I grew with my business. But if you would have put me here 15 years ago as a young guy, right? Like, I probably wouldn't be here today.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing for dogs. We expose them to stress. Little by little, more and more, we push them, work them to the other side meaning like getting them through the stress, and then they go like, oh, you know what, I can actually deal with this.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, because it sounds like she's off-leash social,
Yes.
right, but on-leash reactive.
Yes.
Do we have a guess why that is?
She can't run away.
Exactly.
And get
That
free.
flight response is removed,
Yeah.
right? Because our first two stress responses are fight or flight. Can I get rid of the threat or the danger? There we go. Or can I escape it? So if she's on a leash, she can't escape, so she's going to resort to that fight response. When you remove flight and fight, we have avoidance, and then we have submission. Okay? Avoidance would be, she sees a dog, and she goes, I can't escape this, I can't fight it, so I'm going to pretend it's not there, and I'm going to look up at my owner, I'm going to put my face behind my owner's leg, right? I'm going to pretend that thing is not there. You ever go to the store and see someone you don't want to talk to? What do?
Go down the other and just go
Down
around.
the aisle,
I
right?
need
You're
to
not
look at
running
this
out of the
aisle. It's
building,
on.
right?
Yeah.
You're not running out the building, you're not trying to fight them, but you are avoiding them,
Yeah.
right? It's avoidance. Submission can sound bad, it's not. Another word I use is acceptance, which is, I'm going to go out in the world, I'm going to see dogs, I can't run away, I can't fight them, can't always avoid them, so I'm just going to accept that I'm going to see dogs in the world, but it's okay. right? So for me, there's things in the world that I don't like, but I'm like, it's okay. Like, it's just part of the world, right? Same thing for the dog. Not all dogs get to acceptance. Some dogs will stay stuck in avoidance. We can't make them accept, but it's much better than them being reactive all the time. Okay? Because that usually gets people, they're like, Jesse, I don't get it. When I take the leash off, my dog is completely fine, but the moment I put the leash on, super reactive. I go, right, because it can't escape if there were to be danger or if they see something they don't like. The other thing is, you become a moving territory, right? So when she's on the leash with you, you are connected. And you said possible resource guarding, right?
Yeah.
That's a possibility where she's walking with you and then she sees a dog approaching. In that context, she feels empowered, thinking that she needs to protect you. That's also a possibility.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She's been barking more in the car, so like that moving thing where like she didn't used to bark in the car at things. She was just more of like, I want to be part of the, like in the front, watching it go by kind of thing. And so, yeah, recently, bikes are the thing where she's like, doesn't make sense, and just like really goes after that. But it's like 2 or 3 barks and she's good, but that's a newer thing too. But same was what you're saying.
In the scale, like I like to look at reactivity as a spectrum. Typically, reactivity towards humans, bikers, rollerbladers, stuff like that, is almost always the first thing that goes away. Okay, that kind of reactivity also is very typical of a nervous dog. Okay, unless it's prey driven, that's different. Reactivity towards calm dogs, old dogs, tends to be the next batch of things that are triggers that go away. The middle would be puppy energy, excited energy. Then it's other reactive dogs. And then at the very end, we have the set and run-ins, right? You turn a corner, you see a dog. If you live in a building with an elevator, opens, you see a dog, right? Those tend to be the end of the spectrum because we can't plan for them. They're sudden, they're abrupt, right? So it's not that we don't get everything addressed, we do. It's just that timeline-wise, that's how things tend to be addressed, right? You say something?
Yeah, like would you say like the Winston thing was like, we weren't there, but I don't know if you want.
Yeah, so my mother's dog is a little King Charles Cavalier named Winston, and she sort of like big times him. Like she's like, I'm in charge, dude. If like he's getting pets, she'll jump up there and like take his spot.
Sure.
If you know, we're in bed and he kind of like gets near, one time she sort of like snipped at him like a little bit, like didn't like go after him.
I think he didn't know she was under the
if
cover.
like she's eating and he like comes near, she gets like very territorial about her food, even though they've got like separate foods, and he's like, she steals his, he doesn't really steal hers.
Yeah.
And at one point my mom left the house, and so it was just like the 2 dogs for like under a minute, and she had sort of like backed him into another room and was like rigid stancing with her hackles up at him. And so she's very worried that Ripley is going to hurt him, which is an understandable fear, because she absolutely could tear him apart if she wanted to. I don't think that's what would happen, but I want to make sure that absolutely does not happen.
Yeah.
And then we've seen kind of like on walks separately, just like when it comes to dogs, you talked about like these old dogs, where it's like, oh, those are usually some of the first things to go away. There have been walks where we meet an old dog and she's totally good with this dog, and then we bump into that dog around like the corner, like the dog catches up with us and she sees it and then goes crazy at this dog she just met 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So
there can be things that happen between those two.
yeah.
So for example, let's say she sees this dog, it goes well. But let's say she's excited afterwards. That stimulation, if it's not addressed, can technically be what leads to reactivity. An excited mind is a reactive mind, is a saying like in the dog training world. Because excitement, people tend to interpret as happy. It's not, it's excitement, right? And excitement brings with it a degree of stress, okay? Or it could be, she sees that dog, maybe in between she sees another dog, maybe she's not reactive, but to some degree she's like kind of suspicious of that dog, and then you leave it, she's now stacked.
And
And then if you see that dog again, now that leftover tension or yes,
Just any
exactly.
stress, yeah.
Yes.
Stress is good and bad, yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that makes sense.
and that's just a guess based
Mm-hmm.
off what you're telling me, right? But like dogs, once you understand dogs, so like I've been working with them for 16
Mm-hmm.
years, like there's nothing new under the sun. I can almost always, like when you tell me your experiences, I literally see your dog in my head,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like a musician. You can hear what you play before you play it, at least the really good ones. I'm not that good because I can't hear what it I have a bad ear. But when it comes to dogs, I see these things in my head, and
Yeah.
that's how I'm able to decipher, like, okay, this is probably what happened, right? Every now and then I'll get a client that tells me a story, I'm like, there's something missing here because that doesn't make sense. Like, dogs don't just suddenly decide, I'm going to attack someone today. You know, there's always prerequisites
Yeah.
to the bite or the attack.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but we see her now laying down. She's like what I call passive alert because she's laying down. But you can see how her head's in her ears. Well, her ears are cropped, so it's kind of hard to tell. But
The ears tell the whole thing. She'll like tuck them back when
There you
she's
go.
very relaxed.
yeah,
But like when they're up, she's really paying attention. Yeah, there you go.
because right there they're moving dogs back and forth. So that's
Yep.
most likely what's getting her attention, right?
Yeah.
So she's passive, but not fully because there's a little bit of alert here.
Yeah,
Okay?
she mirrors, gets dark windows like at night, doesn't. It's like in a car, a black car, like any.
The TV
so like,
turned off and seeing our reflection in the TV while we're on the
so
couch.
there's something. So that's why I was like, oh yeah, those are darker there. Yeah,
Interesting.
makes
Okay.
sense.
Has she had her eyes checked?
Not. They said they did like a full like wellness exam like a month ago when we finally took her in to the vet. So
She
they
can
didn't
can track the hell out of a tennis ball though.
Okay.
I'll tell you that. Like we
She's
throw a
a
tennis
lot.
ball in the bat. Like she legitimately has autism about tennis balls.
And
Like,
she-
that is her favorite thing in the world. Like that's her favorite toy, like by miles and miles.
That
Like,
was where,
everything.
yeah, with the structure, I was like, in my parents' yard, throw, come back, and she's
Yeah.
locked in and won't stop. And I was
Yeah.
like, it's like working dog energy where she like won't
Interesting.
stop kind of thing. But then when you're like, we're done, and she'll just go find the shade and plays in the shade with it and just
Okay.
chomps on it. So yeah, so there's certain things there, but we haven't had anything come up with her eyesight or anything like
the
that.
only reason why I ask is because like the thing with the TV being off and like the reflections and the mirrors and stuff is like super common.
Oh,
Okay?
okay.
So that's the only. So I'm thinking like, okay, is there something that impairs her vision? So it doesn't sound like it if she's able to track a tennis ball. And it's most likely just that she's just kind of stuck in this arousal state.
startled.
And
Yeah.
not fully coming to passivity.
Yeah.
Okay. So when it comes to like the heel type stuff, it tends to work backwards, where we're working outside, like the exercise is done outside, right? But through applying the exercise, you should start seeing calmer behavior in the home. Ideally, things like that stop triggering her. Okay, and that's how we know everything's working. If not a big deal. We just have to address it a different way. But that's why I always start with heel first, because I go, what does it fix? People will come to me with this laundry list of problems, but the foundation of them is like 3 different things. So once we do the heel training and they come back, like my dog stopped chewing the couch, it stopped barking all day, it stopped following me around the home every single time I move, right? All these things should start to go away naturally. I'm like, right, because that was most likely just frustration type stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. And then whatever's left over, I go, we will address directly then. Okay. So were you looking for like an in-person type program or like a board and train, daycare and train type program?
I think so much of it is based around us and resource guarding us on like these walks.
And
that-
we both want to learn too, like,
Yeah.
because I want to be able to know in certain situations where I know we have like people that are scared because of how she looks. I want to know and be able to like advocate for her and be around and be able to do stuff in that way too. So we want to be involved. The board and train, I was trying to like, I'm like, whatever you think. And the board and train was kind of like the top one because we're going to be away for 4 days. And so it was going to be like if that works, but I do want to be involved. And so I was kind of
Yeah.
like, if a daycare and in-person, like a mix of like daycare period or like daycare and train and then like class with us
I
kind
gotcha.
of thing. Like just so it's a little bit more intensive like at first when we start up to taking her places.
So my advice to you would be if you're wanting kind of like the in-person, just do in-person.
Okay.
If you do a board and train, not to be egotistical, I'm very good at what I do, right? Is that a lot of the stuff you would have learned in an in-person will be taken away from you by me doing a board and train.
Yeah.
Okay. So my boarding trains, what separates us from other trainers is that I film everything.
Right.
And I make a comprehensive video with your dog for you. First week is typically 2 to 3 hours. There's a ton of information there, right? And I do that to close the gap, because typically with boarding trains, people drop their dog off. Maybe they get a video or two. Maybe they get a 30-minute lesson on the pickup, and then it's kind of like good luck, right? I do not do that. I want to make sure that the people, clients understand how the dog was trained, how the dog responded, how I worked the dog through stress, all that stuff, right? And it's all in that video. And then it comes with follow-ups to close the gap that inevitably happens, because you're trying to take what you saw here and applying it over here, right? But when I'm doing the training, a lot of the experience and the learning is in the mistakes that you will make during the training. It's in the, oh, we're at the park and she's blowing up and Jesse's walking through it real time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But once I do it here and then you pick the dog up, a lot of times it's like there's nothing for you to learn from.
Yeah.
Because it's all been done, even if it's a short 1 week program.
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now what's nice is that when we're training our dogs that we've trained are welcome to utilize our boarding services. Okay. I usually go by the difficulty of the dog. The most concerning thing for us is always human aggression. Okay, so those clients, I'll tell them you'll have to either complete the program and or be deeper in your program once I know your dog is good, and then we can take them in. When it's just like leash reactivity type stuff towards dogs and whatever, I'm like, it's super easy for us to work with. As long as you get the foundation down, there shouldn't be an issue with taking Ring to board if you needed to for those 4 days. Okay. But I would just save yourself the money and or just put it towards an in-person program, because you're going to learn so much more from that.
Yeah.
Okay. Question on any of that?
No, I think
Down for in person.
down for in person for sure. Is that like once a week kind of thing?
Yeah,
And
so
then
generally it's once a week for an hour.
okay.
I don't do, like, some clients want to double up. The only time I've ever done a double up is because they're like, I'm moving in a month. And we're trying to get everything done in a short amount of time. Otherwise, we want at least a week between each class, because that gives you plenty of time to practice, make mistakes, ideally work through things, right? And then when you come back a week later, you come with like, this is what we've dealt with this week, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, cool, good information. Now let's move on to the next part, okay? Every now and then it happens where people get sick or whatever, and I don't see them for a week or two between classes. It's not a big deal. It doesn't slow down the training. It doesn't inhibit the training in any way, which is one of the perks of e-collar. In my book, it's the best training tool, just because like it happens where we'll do 2 classes and the dog gets sick or the human gets sick or something happens in life and they're like, they have to take a 2 to 3 week break, right? But then they'll come back and like, oh, it's been great though, Jesse. Like everything that we've done in the first 2 classes was great. So we're just now, picking up where we left off.
Once she knows what's going on with the e-collar, how transferable is that to other people?
It's very transferable, pending they follow the instructions, right? So let's say her working number, so our e-collars go 0 to 100 or 127, depending on the model. Let's say she ends up being an 80 at a 127, okay? You guys, because I would work you through it, we start low, we work our way up, so you have an understanding of this is why we're at 80. But when you just give it to someone and they just go, yeah, my dog's number is 80, they're like, what? This little dog here? Their logic will work against them, right? And typically they'll be lower on the collar. So what you'll learn is you're trying to correct me, but you're not willing to go to 80 like my parents are.
So I'm gonna push.
So I'm gonna misbehave with you, okay? And this is the one drawback to board and trains as well. This is additional FYI, is we start low, we work our way up. We typically start at 15, and then gradually work our way up until we find a number that works for the dog, okay? And it changes according to the context. Is the dog under stress? Are we inside? Are we outside? So on and so forth, right? In some cases, I get dogs whose numbers are like 80. So when the owners, even though I refilm it and everything, and the owners see it, there's just the emotional hump that they have to get over, because it wasn't them working from 15 to 80. It was me working from 15 to 80. Right? But if I'm working with you and we're at the class and we start at 15 and we gradually go up and we hit 50 or whatever, to you it makes sense because you're seeing and experiencing, the low to high. Right? So when you try to transfer that to someone, that's the only thing is sometimes if the dog has a high number, there will be just an initial discomfort with it. Okay. But it's very transferable. Okay. So what's also nice is that it doesn't matter size, sex, age, if they're willing to use it at the appropriate level. Right? So I get a lot of clients, couples, one person's bigger than the other person, right? So it's almost always like the guy, right? And the guy's like, oh, I have no problem controlling this dog. This dog behaves better with me. And the wife's like, oh yeah, like with me, the dog does this and that. And you go, that's why I do e-collar, right? Because it doesn't matter that you're smaller or whatever, or that the dog doesn't take you as serious. Because if you press it at 80 and he presses it at 80 and I press it at 80, it's the same all across the board. So now the dog just respects everybody at the same level.
Yeah.
It can also compensate when I get like really soft energies. Sometimes I get one person who's very assertive to someone who's very passive. In those cases, the assertive person may have a lower number, whereas the softer person will have a higher number because we're compensating for that energy difference.
Yeah.
You see that? But like if we're using a prong collar, which is a spiky looking collar, right? A lot of that is technical skill, sometimes even strength. Right? So then like, oh yeah, I can, crack my dog firm enough with the prong collar, but my wife can't, or my son can't, or my teenager can't, so on and so forth, right? Don't have to worry about that with the e-collar.
Yeah.
Yeah, got it. Just because my mom has looked after her, and she's in her mid-70s, the one with the little Cavalier. And like, I don't think she has like a problem with Ripley, like physically or whatever, but it's like just being able to like calm her down and just be like, don't mess with the number. Like the number is the number while you have it.
Yeah. And what's nice too is, I filmed the lessons pending, like when I was out over at the Oz Park right now, I had to cut one of them short because the rain came. But you can forward those lessons to your mom.
Yeah.
For her to watch, right?
She has tried to mount Winston, and we have stopped her from doing that. Is that the best correction for that?
Oh, well, you can correct that with the e-collar.
Got it. But like actually stopping it is the point. Like it's not just we did the right thing stopping it, but like with the e-collar.
So that reminds me going back to her bullying Winston, 'cause that's what that was.
Yeah.
Right. And then your mom saying like, she was concerned about that.
Yeah.
Is I know if you've not seen the attack or whatever act of aggression, right? You usually think that it can happen. Any dog with a mouth and teeth is capable of going into that state.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of, are they put in a situation where they feel they need to?
Right.
So not uncommon with personality types like this, these insecure personality types, nervous, anxious, fearful dogs, will bully dogs that they can bully because it makes them feel good. Just like humans, right? Bullies bully weaker kids.
Yeah.
They don't bully targets that they think can fight them back. And a lot of times when the kid stands up to the bully and even beats them up or whatever, they're not going to bully that kid. Exactly. Right? Same thing for dogs. Okay. So in that moment, she was asserting herself for sure. She was dominating Winston. Right? And if it goes unchecked, that it's like the ego grows.
Sure.
Right? So with the collar, so yes, you should stop the behavior.
Got it.
There's one thing between stopping her mounting by like removing her or something, and it's another thing for her to be actually corrected for mounting.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was just removal. So it wasn't like the tug and sit afterwards or whatever you would recommend with the collar.
So a correction, because what we're doing here is communication. It's just a relax, right? And she's actually doing much better now.
Yeah.
If Winston had the confidence to stand up for himself, right? If she tried to mount him, what do you think that would look like?
Spinning around and nipping her?
Yes.
Yeah.
He would bite her, right? So now we create a conversation. She goes, I'm going to dominate you. Winston goes, no, you're not. Now she has a decision to make. And she goes, do I really want to assert myself for this dog and give him a taste of what I can do? Or am I going to respect that correction because I didn't think he was going to stand up to me? And then that becomes the relationship.
That's it.
It depends on how it goes, right? I can't predict that. It just comes down to how it ends up working out, right? And this is why I tell clients, because I always hear like, oh, so let the dog sort it out. I'm like, that's how you end up with the dead dog.
Yeah. Don't think Winston's got that type of dog in him.
Not have that dog in him.
Truth be told, like
At all.
the softest dog we've ever met, like without a doubt. And so it's just like it's like his house, and it's just like
but that's just not him, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, but you know this.
Yeah.
So this is where the humans have to. This is why humans always have to be in control, because it doesn't matter how the dogs feel.
Yep.
So for example, my wife's dog and my dog, they don't like each other. Okay, I have a 16-year-old pit, 16-year-old pit. My wife's dog is 6 years old. Okay, if I bring Lexi, my pit, home, and she sees Luna, the way Luna behaves with her, you would think she absolutely loves Lexi, okay? And it's just her excited to see us because she's not seen us for a couple hours, right? But they get into at least 2 spats a year, okay? Typically territorial type stuff, okay? Because they do not like each other. I look at it as like, I'm the oldest of 4 kids, right? We had fights growing up. But as humans, we don't bite each other, right? We roughhouse and all that kind of stuff. You know, I had I'm the oldest by 7 years, but like my 2 younger brothers, like one of them choked out the other one, you know, and then he like started to pass out and then he stopped, right? Obviously, but that's how we fight.
Yeah.
For dogs, it's different. It's with teeth, you know. And people are always surprised when I tell them like our dogs don't like each other; they coexist with each other, right? But just like humans get into arguments and stuff like that, so do dogs. The difference is, we have a living space upstairs. We have a kitchen right here. And then right where that wall is, there's a back door to a roof, okay? My wife was in the kitchen over here, and our dogs were outside going, just chilling on the roof, right? And then, and we have this on camera, it was my wife's dog standing at the back door. My pit comes up and just sniffs Luna. And I could see where I'm like, oh, Luna did not like that at that moment, right? So Luna went after Lexi. My wife was all the way over here, and she shouted, because she heard them, hey, right? And that shout alone stopped the fight, okay? Most people don't have that with their dogs. Most people, as Jesse, my dogs got in a fight, and I could not take them off of each other because the dogs aren't used to being told what to do. They've never been really corrected. But for our dogs, because I train her dog and I train my dogs, we have that level of control where even if there's a spat, it's very easily addressed because just through projection and like, hey, right, they'll just cut it out.
Yeah.
But they don't like each other, and I can't make them like each other. Just like I'm sure I've met people that don't like me, and I've also met people in my life that I don't like either. But as humans, we just learn to coexist. So one thing to keep in mind is if she did that with Winston when no one was present, it will most likely happen again. Okay?
Yeah.
Because let's say you're doing really good about rules, discipline, boundaries, right? And so it's the 4 of you. You guys, and say you're watching Winston, and then you both leave. It's a hierarchy, right? So when the humans leave the picture, technically speaking, who does the control go to? The dogs. And if Winston is already naturally a submissive dog, now he's all the way over here. Technically, she's above him, and now she goes, you know what? Mom and Dad aren't here, so I'm in charge now, and I'm going to bully you. Okay? That's just something to keep in mind. People, they don't think of it that way, right? But technically speaking, like I said earlier, humans are in charge, but once the humans leave, technically that dominance, that hierarchy goes to the dog.
That makes total sense.
Totally. Yeah.
And we would like her to be, like a benevolent leader when she's at the head of the pack there, instead of being a bully to Winston. So I'm glad we caught her when she mounted him, and we would, go into correcting that with the e-collar once we've got it and all that good stuff. But yeah, good to know.
Other questions?
But oddly enough, it's like they do generally get along well. Like they'll like lick each other and whatnot, and like be chill. So it's not like they're just like, hey, we like exist, maybe, or maybe that is just them existing and not liking each other. But I think Winston generally is like, I don't mind this dog. She's fine, cool.
No, they can, how'd you say, like each other, but then still be moments of tension.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
Totally.
It's with my wife's dog. So with Luda and Lexi, what that looks like is they just ignore each other. Aside from us coming home and like that little bit of excitement of like, hey, you're back, right? They really don't interact with each other at all. My wife's dog and my Chihuahua interact with each other. Where he'll like go over to her and he'll like do his little prance and stuff, and then like she'll like poke it at him because they're playing. Never does that with my pit. Okay, so that you can see the difference in the relationship, especially when you observe them. In relation to our son, who is now 2 years old, my Chihuahua and Luna, they like him in the sense that he's now part of the family, but they don't like his energy because he's 2 years old, right? So if he starts running in, you just see them get up and then leave the room. Whereas my pit Lexi is the tolerant one. She'll be there and she'll like let him, if we supervised, he wants to interact and play with her, right? You'll see her take it. But then there'll be times where I'll see her kind of do like an avoidance glance, and I go, she doesn't want it right now, and then we deflect them and have them do something else, right? But by the way they interact with my son, you can see how they feel about him. Same thing how they interact
Yeah.
with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got in our building another floor has now 3 very young kids, and it's just like we would want to avoid any potential issues with her and those kids. You know what I mean? That would be the absolute worst case scenario. You know.
Has she been around kids at all?
Not that she has met 2 of those kids like outside, very briefly, and she was like generally good with it. I was like holding her so that they could like see her and like all this, and she could see them. But she loves their parents. Like her parents have come over. We've had 10 people over at our house, and she's super happy. She's just like bringing a tennis ball to everybody. It's like, will anybody throw a tennis ball down the hall for me? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I know that like the eye level thing with dogs is like a kind of big thing where it's like, oh, like bigger people, they're like, oh, they're obviously bigger than me, but you get a kid who's like eye level with them, and suddenly it's like, oh, I'm on that level, like let's go. So
The other thing is that, in my opinion, dogs view kids as puppies, and dogs correct their puppies.
yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
So a lot of the bites that I get with kids are correctional bites.
yeah,
Very rarely are they predatory.
yeah,
You know, I would say in 16 years of training dogs, I've only had like a handful of times where the bites were like a predatory,
Yeah.
versus like
Yeah.
a kid being allowed to do too much, and then the
Yeah.
dog got fed up with it and bit
Totally.
them.
yeah, for sure. I mean, my sense when walking her and everything, and her reactions, and like when she does like lunge at people, it's purely reactionary. It's not like, oh, I want a piece of that right now. It's
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stress.
yeah.
Totally.
Good job, Ripley. Since you can't hear me, I'll just say it.
So obviously reactivity stuff, right?
Yeah.
Leash walking, come when called is obviously another one, right?
Yeah.
Anything else particular that you're wanting? Like if you could have the life with Ripley that you wanted, what does that life look like?
Like to take her places. So we live across from Suncatcher, and we took her to Midwest Coast like day 2 of like, we're like, let's just see. They're having like a dog training event there. So we know it's like-minded people, and she was totally fine, but she was
Like,
probably still zonked.
perfect. Like perfect. On the leash, not pulling, not reacting, went to every dog in there, and she was perfect. I
So we got a
doubt
taste
that
of
would
it.
be the reaction now.
Yeah. So we got a taste of it, what it could be like to take her to dog-friendly like patios and places like that.
And you said she was zonked.
I was like, it was literally the 3rd day that we had gotten her from like the foster situation. So she was kind of just still like,
I see.
like
Just
she
kinda
was
finding her
still
place.
finding her place. She was
Yeah.
still like, what's going on?
gotcha.
Probably shouldn't do too much. Like, and so that's, I feel like what she's been like, and that since we've gotten her, where she's been more chill, and the reactivity has gone up more. And I feel like it's also, she's been bonding more to us
Yeah.
too in that time. So it is a correlation for sure. But I think that would be something I would really like. I would like to take her on walks and not have to fully have my head on like the absolute, like this, have it on a swivel, but not like in the way that it is now.
I gotcha.
Being able to pick up her shit without checking every direction
Yeah.
and like getting her close and then picking it up while like
Yeah,
just
yeah.
be like, that would be convenient. Being able to walk as much as we want to walk. It's like, she's a very athletic dog. She will
So-
run after a tennis ball in 100-degree heat for hours
We have
straight.
to stop her, put her away. And so, I mean, we live truly right by Humboldt Park and Smith Park. And so I would love to like be able to take her there on like a long lead and do like stuff like that where like, I don't think I'd be comfortable quite yet, like with an off leash unless it was in one of those spots, but like have her somewhere where she can go outside and play. Cause we've been really wanting to do that. And she's just miserable. So,
Winston gets off-leash walks on Lake Michigan because my mom lives in Saugatuck over in Michigan, close to the lake, and we generally keep her on her lead. But like we'll be out there in like the middle of winter and nobody's there. It's like we've let her off her lead and she is super happy out there. And it's like I want to be comfortable doing that and knowing that she's not gonna like run up on anybody like that. Like ideally get her like avoiding, where it's just like, all right, I'm just gonna let this guy with his, fishing rods and tackle box go by instead of needing to really know, instead of needing to like intimidate. It's almost like this preemptive intimidation, like don't mistreat me. I'm gonna intimidate you type thing sometimes. Being able to walk without her, lunging at, dogs and people and whatnot.
Okay.
So
yeah.
So, you're between 6 to 12 weeks. and what I would recommend for like an in-person.
Okay.
Okay, 6, 9, and 12, or I do 3, 6, 9, and 12. 6 is like the bare minimum. 12 is like if you want to a fully off-leash trained dog. Okay, you can get everything done at once. Again, it's not like we do one program to address reactivity, then another program to address this or whatever. It's literally all just taken care of throughout the program. The difference is if you do like a 9 to 12 week program, I know what your goal is. If I see someone come back with a 6, like I want a 6 week program, I'm going to focus on what I know is super important, right? Obviously the reactivity, leash walking, because that has to happen. But then I have less time to play with, so then I go, I'm going to structure the program this way, versus if you're like, I'm doing 9 or 12, then I structure it differently because I'm going, you also want off-leash training. That's the difference really when clients are choosing between 6 to 12. As a general layout, it'd be 2 classes on heel, maybe class 3 on reactivity stuff, see how that goes, right? Because I can't predict how bad it is. I've seen dogs where I'm like, this is going to be easy, and then it ends up being like, man, this dog is something, right? I've had dogs where I'm like, man, this dog's bad, and it's like 180 in one class, you know what I mean? So let's say it's 1 and maybe another, so 2 classes on reactivity, maybe. The 5th class could be on recall, because that's obviously another big thing for you, right?
Sure.
Which would technically just leave us with 1 class, right? If you do a 9 or 12, it just gives us more time to work with. If you do a 12, I go, cool, we got plenty of time to work on reactivity stuff, plus we have plenty of time to get to off-leash obedience, okay? If you're doing a longer 9 to 12 week program, towards the end, usually around class 8 or 9, 8 if it's a 9-week program, once we've gotten the foundation for like off-leash stuff, is typically where I'll tell clients, come back when you're ready for your next one. So all the early classes are one after another, after another, after another, right? But then once you got everything under your belt, well, now you need time to go and practice. Off-leash training requires you to kind of go out your way because you got to go to the park to practice your long leash training, right? Everything else, like leash walking, sit, stay, down, place, right? Those are all things you can do any day. Recall requires effort because you have to go to the park to practice your recall, right? But typically everything that we teach, you practice as you live your life with your dog, right? It doesn't really require a ton of going out of your way, but off-leash training does. And then you need time, right? You could, in the beginning, a very common issue that people will deal with is dogs don't want to leave them because of the e-collar. Okay, so now they need time to correct that problem and then also practice their long leash exercises, right? So sometimes they may not see someone for 2 months and they'll leave from class 9 and then they'll take their break practice and they'll come back 2 months later for class 10 because it took them a month to get their dog to be comfortable, right? And then they had a month of practice and they come back when they need more help, and then we do that one, and then they go off and practice again and they come back a month later for class 11. Every case is different, okay? So how I structure things is different based upon whether you do 6 or a 9 to 12. 6 bare bones again would be 2 on heel, maybe a class on reactivity, maybe 2 on reactivity, it just depends on how it goes. Recall, which just leaves us that 1 extra class to play with. 9 gives us just a few more. 12 obviously gives us plenty of time to work on reactivity, obedience, and then also off-leash obedience, okay? Question on any of that?
No, not for me.
Clients will sometimes ask, can we do 6 and then see how it goes? Again, not a big deal, except that I would structure it differently. But if we don't prorate, so if you bought 6 and then 6, you're paying a little bit more.
Sure.
Whereas if you just do 12 up front, it's going to be a little bit cheaper per class because you're going, we want 12 up front. Okay. The cost of the collar, the one I'd recommend for her would be the Dr. Black edition. Tina will send you this information. It's the highest powered collar there is. It's perfectly safe to use on a dog like this. I could put it on my 8-pound Chihuahua. It's perfectly safe to use. It just means we get more from less. Reason why I suggest the Dr. Black edition is it's meant for a 70-pound dog and over. Is one thing that we need to always account for is stress and then the behavior, right? Earlier I said pitties or pit mixes, kind of notorious for having a high threshold for discomfort. Is if you go with a lower powered collar, there's possibility that she can override the collar. Meaning you could be maxed out and she's completely unfazed, okay? If you go with the higher powered collar, I go, great, I'm not really worried about if we come to that point, okay? But all it means is just more from less. So 50 on a lower powered collar could be like 20, 25 on a higher powered collar is really the only difference, okay? So it leaves you more space, more wiggle room in terms of pressure, okay? A very common question I get is when does the e-collar go away? In my book, when you need it, it doesn't. What this means is if she's going to be off leash anywhere, you need it. Taking her to Midwest Brewery, you need it, right? Going for a walk around the neighborhood, you need it. But if she's a great dog inside the house, you don't need it, okay? If she learns to behave really well with Winston when you're all there together, you don't need it, right? Maybe in the beginning as you're correcting the mounting and all that stuff, you need it, okay? Even once you complete the training, you could be a year later, right? You would still be using the tool. You shouldn't be having to use it all the time. It's simply present,
Yeah.
okay? If you're always using the collar, that tells me you're probably too low, okay? My dogs, if I were gonna have them off leash, would still have e-collars. I just never press the button.
Yeah.
Okay, because I've conditioned
They
them
know they
correctly.
could, yeah.
Yes. But there are things in the world that we cannot account for. Fireworks is a big one. My pit hates fireworks. I've had cars backfire in spook dogs, fireworks spook dogs. You could have a random off-leash dog charge you while you're walking your dog, right? Having this on you, even if you're not actively using it the whole time, just allows you to get that control back in these situations where things can go south.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
The other thing is what's called opportunistic behavior. Are you familiar with this? You guys drive, right? Do you go on the expressway?
Oh yeah.
Do you go speed limit?
Yeah.
Rarely.
You see a squad car, what happens?
You slow,
Slow down.
You clear the squad car, what happens?
Speed up.
Speed up. That's opportunistic behavior.
Yeah.
Right? Almost everybody
Yeah.
speeds on the
Yeah.
expressway, right?
Except
think
her.
of, think of the collar, the cop on the collar, right?
Yeah.
So you're
Yeah.
a rule
Yeah.
follower, essentially.
I sped on a highway one time, so that was why it was a hefty ticket. So that was why.
That was your, okay.
That was my
You got
correction.
caught- you got
that was
caught
my
one time.
correction.
Yes.
I got caught.
But that consequence was meaning enough.
It was
to you
meaningful
where I was
enough.
like, I'm not going to do that.
I was
again.
going to college. I didn't have that
gotten at
money.
least one speeding ticket, and I still do it. So
Yeah.
I got that dog in me.
Yeah.
Like,
You got
No, the number of times I've run a yellow and a red,
that I do. So there
you
you
know,
go.
and then you get that red light or the
You're
camera
like,
flash. Yeah, exactly. Now imagine, because it's a $100 ticket. Imagine if it was a $1,000 ticket.
Yeah.
Imagine if it was a $10,000
Yeah.
ticket. Imagine how much better people would drive.
Yeah.
Right. But it's not so much about like deterring the behavior as it is. It's an income.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's another conversation.
So get us started. Yeah.
Yes. Dogs, it's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Think of that e-collar as a cop on the collar. If the dog really respects it, when they have it on, obviously they're going to behave differently. And then when you take it off, they can press the boundaries. I do teach other things to help kind of bridge that gap between collar to no collar. But whenever there's going to be stimuli that we cannot control, collar should be on. Inside the home, like I have a case right now where they're going to start using the collar inside the home. But at some point, the dog's going to move past it
Yeah.
because they won't need it as much because there's not as much stimuli in the home, right? If Winston's around, you can develop a relationship where she learns not to mount him and bully him when you're around, right? But if you're to not be around and they were to be alone together, my suggestion would be they would be separated,
Yeah.
okay?
And we
Because-
have, yeah.
Yes, that's your safest option, okay? I've had clients come home to a dead dog. I know it's hard to kind of imagine that, but yes, that does happen. I had one. It was 3 Yorkies in a pit, and one of the Yorkies was killed. And it wasn't the pit that did it. It was their teacup Yorkie.
That's wild.
It bit the other Yorkie on the jugular, and it bled out. So it just happened to be a good
Yeah.
bite, like in the quote unquote, like, you know, good spot. 'Cause
Yeah.
It was a jugular.
Effective one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And they came home and they went looking for the pit, thinking it was the pit that did it. The pit was in the kennel, right? And then they see the young little Yorkie come out of the teacup with like just blood, and they're like, wow. So when I came over, because they didn't tell me, they just told me that one dog killed the other. They're like, guess who did it? And the little Yorkie, when I walked in the home, was the one that was like, "Arr," right? Whereas like the pit and everybody else was hanging back. And I'm like, it was that one. And they're like, how'd you know? I was like,
Yeah.
because.
Yeah. We're combating a little bit of the pity,
Tell me this.
slander, and stigma.
Tell me this
a
Yorkie
lot
was named
already,
Napoleon or
so.
something like that.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Question on any of that?
No.
No, I would like, so I teach, so I'm here in the summer, so I've got like the time to be able to do some other stuff with her, and that's when I was like, oh, when we're both home, she's kind of started acting differently, like, and that sort of thing, and so I go back in the beginning of September, and so what might be like time,
Bring her in, you know, pull up, press down. Yep. Relax.
a good time to do like a daycare in like during the week, like once
sure.
to get her, like during the training that you meet with us.
Yeah, she's welcome to come to daycare. We do an evaluation process first. It's not that the dog fails the evaluation, it's
Yeah.
to ease them into the environment.
Yeah.
Okay. And then if once you start training, if you bring the collar, yep, pull up. Bring her to your left, and then up and then down. Yep, push, 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 push. There you go. Now relax a little bit. Good. Yeah, you see the hackles. There you go. A lot of focus there. Yeah. And this is just a Band-Aid right now. But yeah, once you start the training, like if you started daycare before the training, once you start it, you could bring her with the collar to like let them know like, hey, she started training, and then they start to reinforce stuff.
Okay.
Here that she's taught when we do our one-on-ones.
Okay, yeah, because I think that would be good just for like something for her to do during the day. Like we get to the suburbs to take her for a run and stuff like that, and I just want her to be able to have some other stuff during the day while we're building up her walk tolerance, I think. So.
Yeah. Other thing
bolt
would be dogs who have trained with us aren't required to do weekly daycare to board. Dogs who have not trained with us have to do at least once a week of daycare. Whereas I get clients from like Winnetka, Skokie, St. Charles,
Yeah.
Lombard. I don't expect them to come once a week for daycare.
Yeah.
But we've trained our dogs so they can just come and board with us whenever. So
Yeah.
that's just the heads up, FYI. for
Yeah.
you.
Okay. Yeah.
This
Sounds good.
reactivity here, that would be what I would call a typical nervous dog, where things were chill, and then all of a sudden there's a sudden change to my employee walking in, and then she blows up.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, nothing I've not seen before.
Okay.
She's probably going to do it again when he comes out.
Yeah. Okay.
Other questions?
Emmett.
I don't know, buddy.
Okay.
Okay.
So, a minimum 6, you can do up to 9, 12. 12 is like you want a fully off-leash trained dog. You have plenty of time to cover everything. When you email Tina, you can let her know, hey, sign us up for this program. You can also let her know that you plan on doing daycare or whatever, because she'll have you fill out we'll have you create a Ginger account, which is our daycare software,
Okay.
but it also has our training contract in there.
Okay.
And then if you send her your schedule up front, it kind of eliminates a step here. It eliminates a step because that's one thing she's going to ask you for.
Okay.
Right? And then she cross-references your calendar with my calendar to see where we align up.
Yeah.
And then she'll give you the options.
Okay.
On nice days, I train at the park during the summer and the fall. When it's inclement weather, I
Yeah.
just relocate
Okay.
over here. Okay?
Yeah.
Pretty much it.
Okay. Cool. Nothing else.
Fantastic. Yeah.
So then we'll just look for an email from Tina.
Yes.
Then. Okay. Sounds
and
good.
if you want, like if she's usually pretty good with getting people back to people within the day, you can always ping or reach out to her too. Okay.
Cool.
Your mics you can just place on the chair there.